In the Lord, I begin this morning's homily with a short story. Imagining whilst in the house, you went to the supermarket with one of your kid siblings, and on getting back from the supermarket, you discovered that your young brother or young sister is carrying a bar of chocolate. At that particular moment, two responses will be available to you. One, to pretend that you did not see your young one holding the chocolate, or to be angry with your young sibling for disgracing you by stealing the bar of chocolate. But my dear friends in the Lord, for us as Christians, this should not be our response. For us as Christians, the response to this unfortunate incident is this: that you, as the adults, will talk to the young one about the dangers associated with stealing. And after having done that, you will escort your younger sibling to the supermarket to tell him to hand over the stolen chocolate to the manager, and you will apologize on his or her behalf. This response is the Christian response. And so this morning, I am reflecting with you on the theme, the concern of love. The concern of love. Because in the first, or if you like, in the second reading, Paul says, "Owe no one a debt except the debt of love." And so the question that we ask ourselves is, what then is this depth of love? Knowing also that in the first reading, Jeremiah is also addressing some strong words to us about who we are as sons and daughters of God. This is a time the prophet Ezekiel was in exile in Babylon. And a message of God came to him to warn the people of Israel. And the message says, "Ezekiel, I, the Lord, have made you watchman for the house of Israel." What is your role? Having made you the watchman, your role is this: that every word that you hear from me, you are to deliver it to my people. You are my messenger. You are to warn them. And you see, for the people of Israel, the role of the watchman is very important. Because the role of the watchman is to warn them of an impending invasion by the enemy. The role of the watchman is to blow the horn that the enemy is coming. My dear people, take cover. And the Lord says, if you do not warn my people about the consequence of their actions, should any harm befall them, but I, the Lord, would demand an account of you, because they have suffered as a result of you neglecting your responsibility to them. However, should you warn them and they in turn refuse to listen to you, you, my prophets, you are free, because you have delivered my message to my people. My dear people of God, as Christians, this is what we are called to do. And so if I'm reflecting with you on the concern of love, the concern of love is this: that I see my neighbor in danger. My duty is to give charitable advice. My duty is to give my neighbor a good example. The reason being that by giving the good example, I'll dissuade my neighbor from the road of destruction, from the road of hell, from the road of eternal damnation. And that is the concern of love. But my dear sisters, critically examine your attitude. For some of us, when we see our friends on the road of error, our friends in a particular sinful situation, that is the very moment we gossip about them. Their journey on the road of error becomes our topic sentence. But today, your role as a watchman, your role as a sentinel, is to warn those who are in error, and not to jubilate that they are in error. That is the warning the prophet Ezekiel has been given. And by extension, your call as a Christian also places on your shoulder. And so the concern of love is a concern of compassion. That your sister traveling the road of destruction becomes for you a clear case of compassion. And how do you go about warning your sister? How do you go about warning your neighbor? You don't do it to show that you are better than him or better than her. You do it out of respect. You do it out of respect for the dignity of his or her person. And so in the gospel, Jesus says, when there are conflicts among you, this is how you are to resolve the conflict. First, you the offender, you the person who has been offended, take the first step. Go to the person and trash the issue out. Should the person fail to listen to you, gather 2 or 3 people to accompany you, so that they will serve as witnesses. And Jesus says, should you also refuse to listen to these people, tell it to the community, so that the church may intervene to resolve the conflict. If he still refuses to listen to the church, he says, treat him as a tax collector. Treat him as a Gentile. But how will you treat someone as a tax collector? The question is, how did Jesus himself treat tax collectors and sinners? In the gospel, he's always been accused of being friends with tax collectors and sinners. And so when you are treating your neighbor as a tax collector, the bottom line is this. Say to yourself, this friend of mine, this neighbor of mine, does not know what I know. And so I will not allow whatever he or she is doing to affect my relationship with him. If I have to show him love, I will show him love. And my love that I will show to him is not contingent on whatever he or she is doing. That is what it means to treat him as a tax collector, or as a sinner, or as a Gentile. And so today, As we come to thank and praise our God for bringing us back to campus, there is one thing we should know. That, my dear sisters, you have a Christian obligation towards the welfare of your sister. Help your sister to be a good person. Help your sister to be a better person. Don't rejoice at the struggles of your sister. Don't rejoice at the challenges your sister is going through. Don't go about spreading stories about the struggles of your sister. No. But rather, out of the concern of your love for your sister, give your sister a good example of the need to turn away from the road that leads to eternal damnation. Give your sister charitable advice. Not because you are better than her, but because you want your sister also to experience the graces of God that you yourself have experienced. Now, during the week, I was telling those who are coming from us that, you see, there is time for everything under the sun. You are here for this short period for your exams. But if you are not careful, the gisting that you be gisting will take over the time that you have to spend with your books. My dear sisters, we are always told there is more sleep after death. I don't know how when you die, you can see you are sleeping, but that is what we are told. Remember, you make hay while the sun shines. If you are farming today and you say, my head, my leg, my eye, so I cannot farm, when the time of harvest is due, you will weep. When the time of harvest is due, you will cry. I don't want any of you to cry. So please, this is the time for you to study. Have time for your studies. Friends will always be there after the exams. Now, what matters most is understanding and studying the materials that you have. The time available is too short. If you have love for your neighbor, if you have love for your sister, show that love by helping your sister to understand the subject she is struggling to understand, the topic he is struggling to understand, so that together, all of you will pass these exams to the glory of God. May He bless us all. Amen.